When I first stepped into a classroom in Venezuela, I had no idea that the smartboard would teach me more than my students ever would. Hi everyone, my name is Janet, the Nigerian teacher abroad, and today I'm going to be ranking countries for African teachers based on 5 key criteria. 1, we have the pay and benefits. 2, visa and immigration ease. 3, racism and discrimination, because we have to talk about that. 4, workplace culture. 5, support and community. So make sure you stay till the end because number 3 might surprise you. In no particular order, we're starting with the United Kingdom, where the pros include the PGCE pathway, which is clear for international teachers. They have diverse classrooms and multicultural staff. There's a strong Black teacher community there, and there's a good public sector benefit system, which includes pension, maternity leave, etc. The cons include that the cost of living is high in London and the big cities like Manchester and Birmingham. There's Ofsted, which provides so much pressure and bureaucracy. There's also a need for UK recognized teaching qualification or QTS. So you can't just come in with any and any. They have to recognize your qualification. And then there's the initial culture shock around student behavior and classroom management, which will test your patience. I nearly quit during my NQT year, but mentorship from other Black women saved me and my mental health. Next on the list is the United Arab Emirates, and where the pros here include the tax-free salary, furnished accommodation, there's a low cost of utilities and transport. Honestly, I paid such little prices for utilities in that country. There's a lot of international schools with better pay, and there's a huge African community of teachers there, which means that you have a strong community when you reach there to support you. It's also easier to save money in this country. The cons include the tiered system, where there's the ESL versus the British curriculum schools, and there's a huge pay gap between the two. Some schools exploit teachers who do not have proper contracts, and then sponsorship limits movement and change of jobs. So beware. There's also the gender and cultural expectations, which may feel very restrictive. I taught in the Middle East with 2 other Nigerians, and we were the only Black teachers at our school. It came with both privileges and pressures. Trust me, that story for another video. Third on my list is China. Yes, many people think that Nigerians can't work in China, but I got hired by a school in Beijing. The pros of working in China include the high demand for English-based teachers. There's competitive salary and bonuses. They also give you paid flights and free housing, and it's great for building savings quickly. Teaching experience is not always required, but please make sure you have some so you can stand tall amongst the crowd. The cons include there's an increasing visa restrictions for African passports, and isolation would occur with few Nigerians or Africans outside of the major cities. Language barrier and cultural difference can also be intense, and there's been reports of discrimination in hiring and housing. My friend had a parent switch their child out of her class because they didn't think a Nigerian could speak English well enough to teach. Yeah. But she showed them what she was worth in the end. Next is the United States. Now, please remember that the US was a different US while I was there, because diversity was being promoted at the time, and different diverse groups were set to add to the country, not remove from it. Today, the climate in the United States is very, very different. DEI initiatives, which helped teachers like me secure a job there, have now been dismantled. And I would urge anyone who wants to teach there to do a really deep dive research or just go somewhere else. Now, at the time I was there, the pros included high salaries in some districts. It was not everywhere. There was also the J1 and the H1B visa programs, and the recruitment fairs open to Nigerians and other Africans, with the H-1B giving a pathway to citizenship, while the J-1 program was for cultural exchange. There was some flexibility in teaching style, and emphasis here on some, because you can't just do anything. You have to stay within the parameters they provide. And there was also career progression opportunities which you could access. The cons at the time included the J-1 visa is usually temporary and restrictive, while the H-1B visas were almost impossible to obtain because it was a lottery system. There was also the stress with health insurance system, which I found really complex. And there was hidden racism in schools, especially in conservative states, where the work-life balance is tough. I know this because I was employed to teach in one of those states, and that is story for another video. In Texas, I was asked if I had ever seen a microwave before. Yeah, it wasn't ignorance, it was deep-rooted bias, and it was masked as innocent curiosity. So, yeah. Next on my list is Canada, where the pros include immigrant-friendly cities or towns, and there's a pathway to permanent residency in Canada. There's also the inclusive school culture and a high standard of living. There's less classroom chaos in Canada than you would find in the UK or US. The cons for going to Canada to teach include the fact that your foreign teaching qualifications may not be recognized, so get ready to retrain. The recertification process is long and tedious, so get ready. Also, there's the cost of living, which is rising, especially in places like Toronto and Vancouver, where the rent is currently crippling the local residents there. Jobs in Canada are not always in the big cities and diverse communities, so get ready to face people who have never seen an African or a Nigerian before. My cousin waited 18 months before finally getting her teaching license approved in Ontario. She almost packed up and went to Saskatchewan, but that would have meant she would have started the process all over again, because Canada, you have to be certified in different states. Next on my list is Qatar, Kuwait, and Oman, where the pros include tax-free salary, a growing number of international schools, there's the high savings potential, and small class sizes. Some schools will provide really, really mouth-watering family packages. The cons will be that it can be very isolating for single teachers. Discrimination in job offers based on race and nationality exists there, and the internet restriction and lifestyle limitations will really test you. There's also a strict legal and religious environment there, so yeah, get ready. Next on my list is Vietnam or Thailand, where the pros include a relaxed teaching environment, lower cost of living, friendly locals, and a really, really rich culture. The opportunity to explore Southeast Asia is there, and I took that opportunity, and the work-life balance is better than the UK or the UAE, which gave me more time to travel. The cons include the preference for white teachers in hiring. Yes, the salaries are lower than the Middle East, and the visa policies are very, very inconsistent. Many teachers work multiple jobs to sustain the lifestyle that they're used to, especially people who have come from the Middle East. But I was fine. A recruiter in Bangkok once told me that I'm very, very qualified, but that parents would prefer someone lighter. I know. Crazy. My top 3 choices would be Norway, which it's not on this list, but there's a video for that, the Middle East, and the Southeast Asia. But please remember, your best country cannot be my best country. You have goals, so know your goals. Think about the money, the lifestyle, the safety, or your passport before you make up your mind. Please comment down below where you are thinking of teaching, and I'll reply with advice based on my experience. Please do not forget to subscribe for more content on jobs, visas as an African. parenting, and life abroad as a Nigerian teacher. YouTube thinks that you would like this video, but I know that you will also like this one too. So please click on any one of them and I shall see you in those videos.